Okay, so we got our donut, it's got the sprinkles on it, it's looking good. And so what we're going to start to do is build some of the environment. And so I want to build the plate. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with the mesh, which is a circle. So we just build something like that, and we just scale it down. And this is going to be the sort of the flat bit that's in the middle of the plate. And that's going to be kind of where we start on this one. So there's a couple of things that we need to do beforehand. The first thing is I'm going to take this and then I'm going to select this, and I'm going to press Control P and I'm going to parent it. And what that means is when I take this and I move it, everything moves with it, okay? And then I'm going to move it so that it is kind of sitting kind of on the ground. And when it's sat on the ground, I'm going to go Object, Apply, and I'm going to apply all transformations. And it just means that now everything is zeroed. This is going to make life a little bit easier. So we've got our circle, and this is going to be the basis of our plate. Okay, we can hide the donut and the everything else that's in it, and so the icing is now it's underneath that, and we're just going to hide those for the moment. Okay, and we're going to and that's the dog again. So what we're going to do is go into edit mode. I'm going to select all of these, so it's already selected, and then I'm going to extrude. So press E and scale. And what you're going to end up with is this kind of thing. It's going to kind of make it go out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of do a little bit and then move it upwards. And then I'm going to scale again. So I'm going to press E and then S. And then that's going to be the kind of the outer plate bit. And then that's the sort of the lip that goes in the middle bit. And that's good for now. Then I'm going to select this inner bit, so press Alt and Shift, and we want to just select all of these inner bits here, and then press E and S, and we're going to scale that into the middle. Okay, and then once we get to the middle, and we want to kind of seal that in the middle, and so what we're going to do is just press F, and what that will do is it will fill it with something. So now we've got this, and it's a bit thin, and so we need to kind of change that, and we know how to do that because we've already done it. So we're going to add a modifier, and we're going to solidify it, and you choose how chunky you want your crockery to be, but I'm going to go for something like that, and that looks okay. And then we are going to add a subdivision on it. Okay, so it's looking reasonably okay as a plate, but I think it needs some more hard edges. You can see it's a bit soft at the edge. So how can we change that? Well, there's a bunch of ways of doing that. The first way is we could go into here and start changing kind of all of this kind of stuff, which is really complicated. Or what we could do is add some more geometry in here to create an edge. And I'm going to use this tool, a loop cut. And what you do when you highlight it, you can see that it kind of creates a ring. So I'm going to grab it and then pull it just to the edge here. And what we end up with when we go into here is you can see that it's kind of created like a hard edge to it. If I bring up you can see that we got this, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to shade it smooth. And then I'm going to do another one that's going to go here. And you can see it sort of live happening as it's kind of creating a hard edge on it. So now we're kind of creating something that's looking like a plate, and I want to do one on the edge here because I think it'll look better as a plate. Okay, the bottom, don't worry about it because we're not going to see it. Okay, the plate is now done. So now we go new, we create our base color. I'm going to call this plate, and we're going to go OK, and then whatever color you like. You can choose whatever color you like, and we can see here it is, looking lovely. It needs to be pretty shiny, so bring the roughness down so that it's kind of nice and shiny like a plate. Okay, and if we look at it in rendered mode, you can see it's looking pretty good. It's a bit yellow. I think that's a bit nasty, so we're going to make it white. Okay, so that's kind of like, we could stop there, And we could even, we could even add kind of like rings of color. You can do that if you wanted to. But what I want to do is I want to put like a plate kind of motif on it because I think it will look better. So how do we do that with this? Well, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because the thing is that the donut, if we just bring the donut up, the donut itself was kind of, it's a torus, and so it was already unwrapped. And so if we look at this one, then unwrapping this is going to be a bit tricky. It's a difficult thing to unwrap in terms of like putting like a texture on it. And if we try to put a texture on it, it'll go all over the place. So I want to show you how we do a bit of UV unwrapping. So what we do is you're going to UV editing. We look at the object that we want to unwrap. We make sure we're in edit mode and we select everything. Okay, and then we go UV unwrap. And then what you end up with is this, which is kind of like, what? And what this does is it kind of like takes all of these and it puts them on a picture. So then when you go to your shading, you can place something directly on it. So I'm going to go to the shading tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to load a texture in. So I'm going to go, I'm going to open a texture, and I want to use this one. I'm going to open that. And what we want to do is we want to put this in here. And so what are we seeing here? So at the moment, we can't see anything. It's kind of like, what? I don't understand it. The texture's here. Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't. So here we've got this, and it's got a base color. And the base color at the moment is just this, and we want to put in an image texture. And the image texture we want to use is this, the Savannah 8-inch something. I don't know what it is. I just found it off the internet and it looked good to me. So what it's done is, if we look at this and we look at all of this is the geometry. Like if we grab all of this and we move it around, I'm going to press G to move it around. You can see it's moving it around everywhere. It's kind of weird, and then it repeats at the edge. It looks really odd. It's not really looking like a plate. So how do we solve that? Well, I'm going to take all of this and just scale it. And I'm going to scale it so that the edge of the geometry, which is here, matches the edge of this. And then just try and move it so it's kind of close enough. And we can see that now that pattern is looking like it's pretty much on there. Okay, so that's it. So now we've got a pattern and a plate with some texturing on it. If we turn on rendered, and we can see that it's starting to look pretty good because we've got a plate. And if we scale the plate, it will scale the texture at the same time. So you can kind of play around with that and make the plate any size you want. So now it's kind of looking good, and we're going to turn on the, let's go to the donut, go down, and we are going to turn on the icing. So there's our icing on our plate, and it is looking good. The only thing that we need to do is we need to start naming some stuff. So I'm going to name that plate. And so now we've got something that kind of looks kind of pretty good. And what we want is, now when we move this is all kind of like parented together, so we can move it any way we want, and we can kind of pose it so it looks right. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to build the table. Okay, and you can, again, you can choose any material you want, and I'm going to show you how to build the table in 2 different ways, so that it's kind of like, you can either go for like a rustic wooden table, or you can go for something which is a bit more modern. It's up to you. Okay, so that's it.